Most people spend their entire lives trying to be accepted while silently relinquishing their own power. And here's an uncomfortable truth. The world doesn't reward those who are merely good. It rewards those who understand the game. Machiavelli already said that politics guided by reality, not ideals, requires seeing beyond the comfortable illusions we've been told since childhood. You were taught to talk too much, trust too quickly, react emotionally, seek approval, and all of this, in practice, makes you predictable, and those who are predictable are controllable. Now tell me, how many decisions in your life were truly strategic, and how many were merely reactions to the environment? There's an invisible pattern that separates ordinary men from those who become ruthless leaders. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's mindset. It's the ability to use pain as fuel, silence as an advantage, emotional control as a shield, and strategy as a guide. While most seek to be loved, a select few understand that it's better to be feared than loved, as long as they know how to avoid being hated. Sounds harsh. It is, but it's real. And ignoring this doesn't make you more ethical. It only makes you more vulnerable, because like it or not, the world operates based on interests, perception, and power. And those who don't learn this early, learn it the hard way. But here's the point that changes everything. These principles aren't about manipulating others. They're about stopping being manipulated. They're about developing virtue, that inner strength that allows you to act with clarity even under pressure, and knowing how to deal with fortune, that which you don't control. In the next few minutes, you'll understand 7 brutal principles that, if applied correctly, can completely transform how you position yourself in the world. And maybe this will shatter some of your beliefs. Maybe it will bother you a little. But if you pay attention, it might be exactly what you needed to move forward. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder you are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. He learned the hard way, and maybe you've felt it too. Pain doesn't ask permission, doesn't warn, doesn't soften. It arrives shattering expectations, dismantling plans, crushing what you swore was solid. And that's precisely where most people go wrong, trying to run away, numb themselves, distract themselves. But, as Machiavelli would say, decisions based on real human nature require facing what is uncomfortable. Pain is not a mistake on the path. It is the path itself. When someone understands this, they begin to realize that suffering is not punishment, it's training. It's life molding you, shaping you, almost like a blacksmith hammering hot steel. And yes, it hurts, but it's this impact that creates resistance. Those who run from pain remain weak. Those who face it begin to develop what Machiavelli would call virtù, the ability to act even under pressure, even when everything seems to crumble. Now think about it. How many times has someone failed miserably in a relationship, in business, in a friendship, and instead of learning, preferred to play the victim? Self-pity is comfortable, but it's a silent prison. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, demands abandoning this illusion that the world should be fair all the time. It isn't, and it never has been. A man who understands this begins to observe his own failures as strategic data. For example, lost money? He doesn't lament for weeks. He analyzes. Where did he go wrong? Was it emotion, lack of information, overconfidence. He transforms each mistake into practical intelligence. This is the calculated use of force, not against others, but against himself, against his own tendency to flee from discomfort. And ironically, that's what begins to make him dangerous, not to the world, but to mediocrity. And here's the point that few dare to accept. Real growth never comes in easy times. Never. It comes when everything is pressuring you to give up. That's when constant adaptability comes into play. He stops asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and starts asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" This change seems simple, but it completely changes the game. Because now he's no longer reacting, he's using. Every rejection becomes fuel. Every failure becomes strategy. Every loss becomes clarity. And little by little, without realizing it, he begins to develop something that Machiavelli deeply valued: psychological resilience. But there's a catch. The more he learns from the pain, the less he feels the need to talk about it. And that's when something interesting begins to happen. He began to realize something that most people completely ignore. The more he spoke, the more power he lost. It seems counterintuitive, right? Society teaches the opposite. Express yourself, share, tell your plans, show what you're doing. But, in practice, this weakens you. Machiavelli already warned about the appearance of virtue. Not everything that seems right works in the real game. Silence, when well used, is one of the most sophisticated forms of power, because those who talk too much give away their strategy, reveal their intentions, expose weakness, but those who observe gather information. And information in this game is an advantage. He comes to understand that he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He doesn't need to announce his ambitions nor justify his moves. He simply observes, absorbs, and acts at the right moment. Now consider a common situation. Someone is building something big, a project, a business, a life-changing event. Most people rush to tell everyone, "I'm starting this, now I'm doing that, so look what's coming." And you know what happens? They receive opinions from people who have never built anything, criticism disguised as advice, negative energy, and sometimes even sabotage. Machiavelli would talk about avoiding being hated, but also about not exposing oneself unnecessarily. Silence protects. It creates a space where you can make mistakes, adjust, learn, without an audience. A practical example. Instead of announcing that they are going to open a business, they start quietly. They study the market, test ideas, validate products, adjust processes. They only appear when they already have results. This is politics guided by reality, not by ideals. It's not about seeming busy. It's about being effective. And there's an even deeper detail. Silence changes how people perceive you. Those who speak little are usually listened to more when they decide to speak. There's a weight, a presence. They don't need to raise their voice. They don't need to impose themselves forcefully. Their behavior itself communicates control. This is the calculated use of force, knowing when to act and when to retreat, knowing when to speak and when to let the other person open up on their own. Because often people reveal everything. You just have to remain silent. And the more they master this, the more they begin to realize something curious. It's not just about not speaking. It's about controlling what you feel while remaining silent. Because holding your tongue is easy. What's truly difficult is controlling your reaction. He realized he wasn't the strongest nor the smartest, but he began to become the most dangerous in the room for a simple reason. He no longer reacted as before. And that changes everything. Because in the end, whoever controls their own emotions controls the game. Machiavelli had already made it clear that decisions based on real human nature cannot be guided by impulses. Uncontrolled emotion is predictable weakness, and everything that is predictable can be manipulated. He began to notice that most people surrender their power in small situations. A provocation, a criticism, a snide comment. That's all it takes. And that's it. They react, expose themselves, lose their composure. But no. He breathes, observes, holds back. Not because he is passive, but because he chooses when to act. That is virtue in its purest form. Now imagine a common situation. Someone disrespects you in public, tries to belittle you, throws shade. The immediate instinct is to fight back, prove them wrong, win the argument. But he understood one thing. Responding in the heat of the moment is exactly what the other person wants. It's falling into the trap. So he does the opposite. He remains silent, observes, maintains his composure. And when he decides to respond, he does so coldly, directly, strategically, without shouting, without excessive emotion. This is a calculated use of force. He doesn't react. He chooses. A practical exercise? When you feel something has irritated you, don't respond immediately. Take a 10-minute break, step away, take a deep breath. It seems simple, but this already breaks the automatic cycle. Little by little, he trains his mind not to be a slave to the moment. And that, my friend, is a huge difference. And the more he masters his emotions, the more he begins to realize that most people live on autopilot. They react to everything. They get irritated easily, excited easily, frustrated easily. They fluctuate all the time. And those who fluctuate don't lead. Machiavelli spoke of constant adaptability, but that's only possible when there's internal control. Because how can someone adapt to the world if they can't even control their own reaction? He begins to understand that strength isn't about shouting louder. It's about remaining firm while the other person gets lost. It's about maintaining clarity when everyone else is confused. It's about being the point of stability in chaos. But there's a catch. Mastering oneself is only the beginning. Because inevitably, he'll realize that not everyone deserves to be near this version of himself he's building. And then comes an even more difficult decision. He reached a point where it became clear. It wasn't just about evolving, it was about who remained around him while he evolved. And that's one of the most ignored and most dangerous decisions. Because whether we like it or not, the environment shapes behavior. Machiavelli already spoke about having one's own loyal armies, and this applies not only to war, but to life. Those around you influence your decisions, your mindset, your energy. And here's a difficult truth. Not everyone close to you wants to see you truly grow. Some want your presence, but not your evolution. Others prefer you comfortable, predictable, just like them. And if they don't realize this, they end up being pulled back, almost without noticing. That's why politics guided by reality, not ideals, demands a cold analysis of the people around you. Now think about something simple. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Do they challenge you or make you complacent? Do they talk about growth or problems? Do they lift you up or keep you exactly where you are? He began to observe this more closely. And no, it's not about cutting everyone off radically. It's about adjusting proximity. There are people who can remain in your life, but they can't continue to have access to your time, your energy, your decisions. A practical example? If someone always devalues your ideas or laughs at your plans, he doesn't engage in direct confrontation. He simply stops sharing, reduces contact, repositions. This is a calculated use of force. It doesn't need drama or announcements, just strategic adjustment. Because avoiding being hated also means knowing how to leave without unnecessary conflict. And there's an even more subtle point. The worst ones aren't the declared enemies. Those are easy to identify. The most dangerous are the sycophants and silent saboteurs, those who praise excessively but contribute nothing, or those who claim to support but always sow doubt, fear, and insecurity. Machiavelli warned about the appearance of virtue. Not every smile is loyalty. He begins to understand that true loyalty isn't in words, it's in consistent behavior, in those who add value, who strengthen, who contribute. And little by little, he builds a smaller circle, but a more solid one, more aligned, more strategic. But this brings an inevitable side effect. The more selective he becomes, the more silent he needs to be about his next steps. He understood something that completely changes the game. The less people know about your next steps, the greater your advantage. It seems simple, but it's rare to see someone truly applying it. Most people feel an almost uncontrollable need to share everything: ideas, plans, objectives, next moves. But in the real world, this is costly. Machiavelli already argued that power lies in anticipation, and those who anticipate don't expose themselves. When you announce too much, you give others time to prepare, give their opinions, criticize, or even interfere. Those who act silently operate with surprise, and surprise in this game is a strategic advantage. He began to realize that he didn't need external validation. He didn't need premature applause. He only needed execution. And that, in itself, already put him ahead of many. Now think about something practical. How many people do you know who talk more than they do? They're always starting something new, planning something big, about to change their lives, but they never get there. This happens because the brain confuses talking with doing. When talking about their plans, the person feels a false sense of progress. But in practice, nothing has been built yet. They broke that cycle. Instead of talking, they execute. Instead of promising, they deliver. A simple example: want to improve physically? Don't post summer project, don't announce a change, just start. Train in silence, adjust your diet, maintain consistency, and when the results appear, there's no need to explain. This is politics guided by reality, not by ideals. It's letting the facts speak, not the words, because in the end, results don't need a narrative. And there's another powerful benefit: silence eliminates interference. When nobody knows exactly what you're doing, nobody can directly sabotage you. Nobody can demotivate you prematurely. Nobody can distort your vision with limited opinions. This is a calculated use of force, protecting your own strategy until it's mature enough to be exposed. And more, this creates an interesting psychological effect. People begin to perceive change without understanding exactly where it comes from. Curiosity arises, respect, even a certain mystery. And whether you like it or not, this strengthens your presence, because those who speak less and deliver more naturally stand out. But this requires something few have: knowing how to wait for the right moment to act, and even more, knowing how to wait for the right moment to appear. He realized that it wasn't speed that defined victory. It was timing, and that breaks a lot of people because the world today pushes people to rush all the time. Everything is urgent, everything is for now, everything needs to happen fast. But Machiavelli already made it clear: virtue and fortune go hand in hand. You need to be prepared, but you also need to wait for the right moment. And those who don't understand this move too early or too late. He began to observe that acting impulsively almost always came at a high price. Hasty decisions, based on emotion or anxiety, generate consequences that could be avoided with a little more patience. And here comes a rare skill: knowing how to wait without becoming complacent, because strategic patience is not passivity, it's conscious control of time. Now consider a common situation. Someone wants to grow financially and starts investing without understanding anything. They see an opportunity, rush in, driven by fear of missing the chance. The result: they lose money. But this person does things differently. They study beforehand, observe trends, understand the scenario. If they want to learn about investing, for example, they don't just randomly invest money. They start by reading something solid, like The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. They understand basic concepts, analyze companies, follow the market, and only then do they start acting. This is decision-making based on real human nature, recognizing that anxiety can sabotage you and acting against it. Another example. Instead of accepting any business opportunity, they evaluate, does this make sense in the long term? Is it aligned with my strategy? If not, they wait, because they know that not every opportunity is a good opportunity. And there's something even deeper in all of this. Patience protects against irreversible mistakes. Machiavelli spoke about avoiding being hated, and often impulsive decisions generate exactly that: unnecessary conflicts, poorly calculated ruptures, irreversible choices. He begins to understand that time, when well used, is a silent weapon. While others rush and make mistakes, he observes and adjusts. While others act rashly, he takes a stand. And when he decides to act, he's already several steps ahead. That's the calculated use of force. It's not about acting fast, it's about acting right. But this constant waiting begins to generate internal discomfort, because at some point he realizes that he can no longer continue being the same person he was before. And that's when we reach the point that separates those who evolve from those who only accumulate knowledge without changing anything. They realize they can no longer continue being who they always were. And that's frightening. Because reinventing yourself isn't just about learning something new. It's about abandoning old versions of yourself. It's about leaving behind behaviors, beliefs, and patterns that no longer serve you. And here's a truth that few people accept. You don't grow by carrying your old identity. Machiavelli spoke about constant adaptability, and that requires courage to rebuild yourself, even if it displeases others. Because inevitably, when you change, someone will find it strange. Someone will question you. Someone will try to pull you back, and it's at this moment that many freeze. They prefer to maintain the old image just to avoid discomfort. Now think about this practically. Someone who has always been seen as the nice guy, the available one, the one who says yes to everything. When he decides to change, to set boundaries, to take a stand, the world reacts. People say he has changed, that he is different, that he is strange. And in a way, he is. Because now he is no longer operating out of a need for approval. He is operating strategically. This is politics guided by reality, not by ideals. He understands that the appearance of virtue doesn't always generate respect. Sometimes, an excess of kindness only generates exploitation. So he adjusts. He learns to say no. He learns to prioritize himself. He learns to choose when to yield and when to assert himself. This is the calculated use of force applied to his own identity. And at first it seems uncomfortable, almost as if he were betraying who he was. But here's the most important point. He's not betraying who he was. He's evolving. He's discarding what was useful at some point, but which now limits his growth. Machiavelli would say that the end justifies the means, not in the sense of doing anything, but in the sense of understanding that change requires difficult decisions. And that includes leaving behind old versions of himself, even if they were necessary in the past. He begins to rebuild himself based on who he needs to become, not who he always was. And, little by little, he creates a new presence, firmer, more conscious, more strategic. But this new version doesn't emerge from nothing. It's built with everything that came before: the pain, the silence, the control, the choices, and above all, the decision not to go back. Now let me ask you honestly, are you really willing to live differently from the majority? Because understanding all this is easy. Applying it is difficult. It's difficult to control your reaction the next day when someone provokes you. It's difficult to stay silent when everyone else is talking too much. It's difficult to distance yourself from people you know are dragging you down. That's where almost everyone fails. Because knowing the path doesn't transform anyone. It's the execution that changes the game. Machiavelli never talked about beautiful ideas. He talked about stark reality. And in reality, those who don't position themselves strategically end up being positioned by others. So think about it. Where exactly are you still being predictable? Where are you still reacting impulsively? Where are you still seeking approval, even knowing it weakens you? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it now? Because it's no use watching, agreeing, feeling that this makes sense, and continuing to live the same way. If you truly want to develop virtue, if you want to learn to use force in a calculated way, if you want to stop being manipulated and start acting consciously, you need to start small, but start for real. Today. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now. Choose one of these principles and apply it. Just one. And observe what happens. And if this content resonated with you in some way, that's already a sign. Maybe you're starting to see the game differently. So do this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here, the idea isn't to motivate you with pretty phrases, it's to show you what really works, even if it's uncomfortable. And tell me in the comments, which of these principles did you resist accepting the most? Which one do you know you need to apply, but haven't had the courage to yet? Because sometimes the first step isn't changing the world outside. It's having the courage to face what's inside.